Hi there, and welcome to Little Reason, the introduction, filmed live on location here at the Man Cave. I've always wanted to do something like this, to pass on and preserve whatever knowledge and wisdom I've gained over the years, what little there is, in some repeatable format, so it doesn't just go in one ear and right out the other of my children. And I figure I might be able to help some other people out in the process, kind of like Spock in Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. This Katra is too valuable to just let die with me, so here I am, beginning the proverbial mind meld with the internet. Except whereas Spock's brain was filled with mostly logic, there's no telling what we'll find in the dark and dusty recesses of this noggin. I know a little bit about a lot of subjects, and a lot about a few. In this inaugural show, I'm going to give you an introduction into what the content is generally going to be about and what you can expect to see here. There's little reason to delay, so let's begin our journey. I'm your host, Shane Little. Come, let us reason together. The goals of this show are as follows. Teach critical thinking, that's number one. One of my favorite aphorisms, don't believe anything that you hear and only half of what you see. Think critically. Is what I'm being told the truth? Very important, particularly on the internet these days. Number two, eradicate victim mentality. I can't stand this. There are so many people in my life that I've known who are their own worst enemies. They hold themselves back because they perpetually see themselves as a victim. And I want to eliminate that as much as possible. Number three, promote personal responsibility. Kind of goes along with number two. Number four, reinforce the golden rule. Now you know what the golden rule is, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So important when you're dealing with other human beings. Particularly, we could use a dose of that on the internet these days. Number five, show that to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose. More on that later. Number six, expand knowledge. This show, perhaps above all, is about lifelong learning. Number seven, guide the viewer to the truth. Yes, there is such a thing as truth, and yes, you can know it. Usually. Number eight, encourage the viewer not to take themselves so seriously. Look, I'm a fun-loving kind of guy. I like to have fun, joke around. Not everything is so serious, and if you take everything too seriously, you're going to make yourself miserable. So have some fun. Number nine, it is a mission of this program to destroy Marxist, progressive, leftist philosophy. It is a plague on this planet, and I intend to eradicate it from the face of the earth. Number 10, last but not least, cause the viewer to think. That's one of the most important aspects of this program as we go along. I love making people think about things. Now, why would I think the world needs another talking head spouting off opinions like so many others? Well, somebody told me one time, Shane, you just think you're right all the time. To which I rather pithily replied, yeah, if I thought I was wrong, I wouldn't have those opinions, right? So why? Because I'm right, of course. We'll see how poorly of a job I can do of convincing you of that. And, well, the other reason is I think I go a little deeper into a given subject than most people. As I mentioned, I like to make people think. Most topics these days are just a lot more complicated than people want to make them. It can't always be distilled down into a 15-second soundbite, which is the kind of content that most people consume and get their information from these days. Now, if you're watching this before you've watched any of my other videos, congratulations, you're going to be in the know. But one of the methods I use to make people think is sometimes I'll say some of the most off-the-wall things. I'll say things I completely disagree with. I'll profess to believe things that I don't believe, just for the sole purpose of throwing off your brain and causing you to think about something. And, sometimes it's just plain fun. When this happens, and at some point it will happen to you, Don't get mad. Think about it. Think about it. You may find yourself walking down a path of thought that had not occurred to you before, and it may reinforce your conclusions about this issue or that, or you may find yourself changing your mind on certain issues, or at the very least you might begin to understand why somebody holds a different opinion than you, and it doesn't necessarily mean they're a bigot. In fact, on Fridays, not necessarily every Friday, but on Friday, I will release a WTF show. It stands for What the Friday. And when you see that show with a WTF in the title, you'll know that whatever I say is complete nonsense. I will sometimes be taking the devil's advocate position on a particular issue. Sometimes I'll just make something up. And again, the overall goal, making people think. So, for those of you in the know now, shh, don't tell anybody. It'll be more fun that way. Other shows will be serious, but we'll try to keep it lighthearted. Like I said, don't take yourself so seriously. I've got a ton of topics to cover. It should be entertaining, educational, and should be fun. The goals I went over earlier are just goals, and they're open to a very broad variety of topics. We'll always cover current events and pop culture, politics too, of course. But you're just as likely to see us talk about everything from money management to beer making. From time to time, I am also going to tackle some very controversial topics, among those that of the existence of God, Christianity, the church, religion generally. But I'm going to do it in a way that you're probably not used to seeing. When I cover topics like this, I'll endeavor not to try to convince you of anything, but just to arm you with the knowledge to convince yourself of the truth, whatever that may be. Ultimately, a perpetual pursuit of truth is what drives this program. As we examine evidence and consider reasonable arguments, we need not ever fear, as they lead us toward the truth. Makes sense, right? And if you don't already, I'm sure you'll soon agree, as we deliver a little reason into your life. So come on, let's begin the journey. Come, let us reason together.